A single announcement has sent shockwaves across Canada, pitting the federal government against its energy heartland. On one side, a global finance figure pushes for a green transition. On the other, Alberta feels its economic survival is under threat. Mark Carney, UN Special Envoy, proposes a halt to all new oil pipeline construction, igniting a political firestorm. Alberta's leaders call the move a profound betrayal. This is more than a political spat. It's a battle over Canada's future. The news landed not from Parliament Hill, but from a global climate summit in Geneva. Carney declared a moratorium on all new federally regulated pipeline projects to meet Canada's climate goals. Alberta's response was swift and furious, with Premier Danielle Smith calling it an unconstitutional attack on the province's livelihood. Protests erupted in Calgary and Edmonton, dominating headlines. For Alberta, oil and gas isn't just an industry, it's jobs, mortgages, and futures. Many see this as an existential threat imposed by an out-of-touch elite. Previous pipeline debates were fierce but project-specific. This is a blanket ban. It effectively closes the door on Alberta's ability to expand its oil exports. Canada now stands at a crossroads. One path leads to Carney's green energy future, the other protects the economic engine that has powered the country for generations. The collision of these visions is playing out in real time with Alberta at the epicenter. The stakes could not be higher for the nation. The announcement has forced Canadians to confront the tension between climate action and economic security. The world is watching as Canada chooses its path. Will the country embrace a post-oil future or fight to preserve its traditional economic base? The answer will define Canada's identity for decades to come. The firestorm has only just begun. To understand the weight of this announcement, you must first understand Mark Carney. Carney is a globally respected economist and central banker, born in the Northwest Territories and raised in Alberta. He steered Canada through the global financial crisis as governor of the Bank of Canada, earning international acclaim. In 2013, he became the first non-Briton to lead the Bank of England, guiding it through Brexit. After leaving the Bank of England, Carney shifted focus to climate action, becoming the UN Special Envoy on Climate and Finance. He argues the global financial system must fund the transition away from fossil fuels. Carney's unique background gives his words immense power. He's not just an environmentalist, but a financial heavyweight. He warns that fossil fuel reserves could become stranded assets as the world decarbonizes. His Canadian roots add complexity. Some see his climate pivot as pragmatic, others as a betrayal. Carney co-chairs the Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero, pushing banks and investors to shift trillions toward green tech. When Carney speaks, global markets listen. His policy pronouncements are signals to the world about the future of energy investment. Carney's influence is vast, and his vision for Canada is reshaping the national debate. His announcement is more than policy, it's a message to the world. The announcement was stark. Canada will halt all new interprovincial and international oil pipelines. Speaking at the UN Climate Finance Summit, Carney declared the era of new fossil fuel infrastructure is over. The moratorium, effective immediately, won't affect existing pipelines or the Trans Mountain expansion, but shelves all future projects. Carney framed this as both environmental necessity and financial prudence. New pipelines risk becoming stranded assets. The message: Canada's oil production now has a logistical ceiling. The moratorium is central to Canada's updated Paris Agreement commitments. Carney argued this move would attract global green investment, signaling Canada is a safe bet for renewables. By drawing a clear line, Canada aims to rebrand itself as a climate leader, not a climate laggard. The announcement was timed for maximum global impact, targeting investors and policymakers. It's a bold gamble to redefine Canada's economic and environmental future. The world is watching to see if this pivot will pay off. The stakes are enormous for Canada's reputation and economy. Alberta's reaction was pure fury. Premier Danielle Smith called the moratorium a gut punch and a betrayal, accusing Carney of kneecapping Alberta's economy from abroad. She announced a constitutional challenge, arguing the policy infringes on Alberta's right to manage its resources. Smith threatened to invoke the Sovereignty Act, escalating the political rhetoric. Public outrage exploded. Social media trended with Carney betrays Canada, and protests erupted in Calgary. Many Albertans voiced fears for their jobs and future, feeling abandoned by Ottawa. The business community warned the moratorium would devastate investor confidence and threaten the sector's viability. Energy CEOs argued the world will still need oil, and this policy simply hands market share to less responsible producers. The sense of betrayal runs deep, fueling Western alienation. Alberta's leaders vow to fight the policy with every tool available. The province sees this as an existential threat, not just a policy dispute. The battle lines are drawn, and the conflict is intensifying. Alberta's anger is rooted in hard numbers. Oil and gas make up 28% of Alberta's GDP and support over 400,000 jobs, engineers, tradespeople, and more. The industry's ripple effect sustains countless businesses across the province. Pipelines are Alberta's economic arteries. As a landlocked province, it depends on them to reach markets. Canada's pipeline network moves just over 5 million barrels per day, often at capacity. Bottlenecks force Alberta to sell oil at a discount, costing billions in lost revenue. The Trans Mountain expansion was a rare victory, boosting export capacity and narrowing the price gap. Carney's moratorium ends hopes for further relief. Future bottlenecks will depress Alberta's oil value. The impact extends nationwide. Oil and gas exports are Canada's largest export, worth over $150 billion. The federal government relies on industry taxes to fund programs across the country. Alberta argues that stifling its energy sector weakens the entire nation's economic foundation. The numbers make clear why Alberta feels targeted. The moratorium is not just policy, it's a direct hit to livelihoods. Carney and Ottawa frame the moratorium as a strategic, necessary choice, not an attack. Canada's Paris Agreement targets require a 40–45% emissions cut by 2030 and net zero by 2050. Oil and gas are Canada's largest emissions source. Carney argues new pipelines make targets impossible. Economically, building new pipelines is a risky bet. Global oil demand is projected to peak and decline. New pipelines risk becoming stranded assets, wasting billions that could go to green industries. Global finance is shifting. Investors are wary of fossil fuels and seek climate-friendly opportunities. The moratorium aligns Canada with this trend, aiming to attract green capital. The policy also signals a managed transition for workers with federal support for retraining and new industries. Ottawa's Just Transition Plan channels investment into geothermal, carbon capture, and hydrogen. The goal, a proactive, orderly shift to a sustainable economy. The moratorium exposes a deep divide in Canada's vision for its future. One side sees Canada as a climate leader, embracing green tech and meeting global obligations. This view dominates in urban centers and sees the moratorium as essential for a livable planet. The other side sees Canada as a responsible energy superpower, leveraging resources for prosperity. Alberta and Saskatchewan argue Canadian oil is among the world's most ethical, and shutting it down just shifts demand to dirtier producers. The debate is more than environment versus economy. Both sides claim the path to prosperity. Carney's supporters warn that failing to adapt risks economic ruin. Alberta's defenders say the transition will be slow, and oil remains essential. Some advocate for reducing oil's carbon intensity, not abandoning it. The moratorium is seen by some as clearing the way for new industries, by others as sacrificing real jobs for hypothetical ones. The divide is deep, and consensus remains elusive. With sides entrenched, Canada faces a collision course. Alberta's legal challenge could reshape federalism for generations. The moratorium fuels Western alienation, risking national unity. Some analysts suggest compromise, massive federal investment in Alberta's transition, or allowing new pipelines only for net zero oil. Such deals would require more than promises, real funding for CCUS, hydrogen, and new industries. Shifting from a blanket ban to a focus on carbon intensity could be a middle ground, but would face fierce opposition. The path forward is fraught, and the stakes are national. Can Canada find common ground before the rift widens further? Canada stands at a pivotal crossroads. Carney's moratorium crystallizes a clash of economic, environmental, and regional realities. For some, it's a bold step toward a net-zero future. For others, an existential threat to their livelihoods. The conflict is now a web of legal battles, political brinkmanship, and public anxiety. The unity of the Federation feels fragile. At its core, the dispute is about how fast and how far Canada should change. Can the country balance climate ambition with economic security for all regions? The answer will shape Canada's future for generations.